Grind Diaries.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming along, mate. We've been having this conversation for quite a while now.
Yes.
I know you know a guest that I had on the last series. And yeah, I mean, you were recommended to come and have a conversation with. So buzzing to actually finally get that sorted and get you in.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, really cool. So do you want to just give yourself a bit of an introduction, and then we'll kind of talk about, what it is? Yeah.
My name's George Middleton. I've fallen in love with fitness. It saved my life. I was a very, very big guy. I was 32 stone at my biggest, 31.5 stone at my biggest. So I've lost a considerable amount of weight and changed my life considerably, changed my health for the better.
Yeah.
Reversed a lot of health conditions.
That is correct. How much weight did you lose?
16.5 stone.
That is flipping hell. That is mental.
Yeah, 16.5 stone. I've probably gained... So probably about 14.5 stone once I've gained weight as well. Mm-hmm. So I'm just over 17.5 stone at the moment.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
That is incredible. Jay, there's some pictures. Can we edit these in? There's a picture of and
a few pictures I could probably give you, yeah.
I mean, it's the transformation is nuts. You kind of go from looking like, I don't know, like almost like the honey monster. Do you remember the old honey monster?
That's good, right? Yeah, I did, yeah.
And you know what I mean? Like you were just, you were huge.
Yeah, Peter Griffin, I would get quite, I could see that Peter Griffin in it a lot. And because I can actually see it as well when I look at the picture. And people used to say I used to look about 50. I was about 28, 29 in those photos.
Shit.
So it aged me considerably. Yeah.
You look a lot older than 28, 29 in those photos.
Yeah,
and I mean, that's the other thing I was about to say. Like, you've taken like 20, 30 years off your, off the way you look.
It's mad. It's mad.
So there we go. Yeah, there we go. That is mental, isn't it?
Yeah, it's crazy. Crazy.
So on the right, you were around 32 stone.
Yeah, 31. I never know because most people, if you're that sort of size, you don't weigh yourself. And when I did weigh myself, I weighed myself on one of these like industrial sort of airport scales because that they kind of have at the hospital because it was the only thing that could bear my weight at the time. The other way that they used to weigh me at the GP around that time was on 2 scales, and then they would just plus them together.
Bloody hell!
Yeah, they're just. I was.
So I suppose they go up to like 20 normally, 20,
23 and a half, like from my experience, like if I remember, they're usually around 23.5 stone. So things might have changed since then, obviously. And I had lots of things where I was that big. I broke a dentist chair, and they said I had to go to Royal Southampton where they were doing dental treatment at the time. I don't think they do it there anymore, but I had to sit in this sort of special chair that was specifically for pregnant women, and the dentist made it really clear to me, like, this chair is for people that are pregnant. Did you know that? I went, no, I didn't. No, I didn't. But now I do. So it was like there was quite a few things like that where I've broken beds, broken toilets when I was that big, and actually broke quite a few beds and broke quite a few toilets. Actually, there was never enough to change. It was never enough. It was all those things were just kind of like, part and parcel of being that big.
You can definitely see what I mean about the age thing as well, though, because you do look like. I mean, I'm not being funny, but you could even get away with thinking that's father and son stood next to each other. Do you know what I mean? It's like absolutely mental.
I mean, my belly, you can see, went right where it sort of curved out. It overhanged massively. I had a massive apron, which is what they call it. And that was me. That's me on the left I'm 38 there, and on the right, 28. Yeah, 29.
Jesus, that's nuts. Yeah. Absolute nuts.
Yeah.
So that's like when you talk to the screen.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So yeah, that's that one on the right. Yeah.
Absolutely
mental. 29 and on the left 38. So yeah, it's crazy.
That is nuts. Well, I mean, I'm really interested to kind of get into I've got so many questions, so many questions in my mind. But I'm really interested to get into a couple of things. I'm interested to get into how you ended up in the picture on the right.
Yeah.
And then I'm also interested to understand the kind of mental transition that you kind of went through to get yourself into the way you are in the picture on your left, and obviously how you are now.
Yeah.
Before we get into that, though, there's a question that I ask everybody that comes on this podcast.
Yeah.
What is your definition of success?
Ooh. Wow. My definition of success. Well, this is success. For me, success is what I've done to change my life. Like, I look at it as, if you're asking me as a personal question, success. That's success. Is saving my life, because it looked like I had no hope, and I felt like I had no hope. So success is finding happiness in fitness. That's where my success lied. It's changed my life. So for me, money's not my god. It used to be. It used to be. I used to pursue it thinking like, this is success, money. But it's not. My health is my success. My. That's what has given me the chance to enjoy things which I never would have done. I jumped out of. I've jumped out of planes. I've been able to go traveling, and all these things I couldn't do when I was that big. I was too big to fly conventionally. I was too big to jump out of a plane. There was a lot of things that I've not been I probably wouldn't be here if I continued on that way. So success is what I found in fitness and saving my life.
So is that? Do you think that's because you found a passion, or is it because you were in a position where it was either that, or you're going to be on a downward spiral for the rest of your life?
Whatever the life was, yeah. I mean, for me, it was. But I accepted that. That was like, I just assumed I was going to die. Like, that's where I was. That's mentally where I was. I was just like, any minute now, any moment now. And I always used to have those visions of being one of those Americans where they'd have to sort of cut you out of the building, or like, that's what I thought would happen with my body, because it was just too. I mean, it's just too big to move. It would have been, especially if I was like in rigor mortis or anything like that. I just couldn't imagine. Like, but then I used to think, that's not my problem. Like, if I passed away, like, that'll be someone else's problem, not mine at that point. So, yeah.
What was the journey to picture on the right? Like, how did you end up like that?
I found solace in food for the most part. Like, I think a lot of people do, and a lack of education on what you should and should not eat. Also, probably I was loved too much by one parent, more so. No, they both loved me, just to be clear, but like, my mum really fed me, gave me whatever I wanted, and I used to use that. My dad was not like that. My mum would just give me whatever I wanted, and I was quite scary at times when I was that big, and quite, if I wanted it, I'd almost throw like an adult tantrum to get food when I was living at home. So I would just do whatever I could to get food. And I mean, I'd do some really desperate things to get food. I've eaten the cocktail cherries when I was that desperate for something sweet. So, and I'd eat like a Christmas cake that was there, a whole Christmas cake, just because I was so addicted to that kind of sweetness and that sugar rush.
What were you like as a kid?
I was a chubby kid. So I wasn't big, but I was chubby-ish. And then, people would think you used to say to me, "Oh, you'll be okay. You'll just, so I don't know, like fluffy, chubby weight. I don't know what they used to call it, but like, you'll grow out of it, or like,
Yeah.
But I didn't. I kind of, I was quite an introverted kid, really, quite a geeky kid. Still am quite geeky, but like, I then it wasn't cool to be a geek when in the 90s. Not so much. It wasn't.
No,
It wasn't a cool thing. Now
definitely
it
not.
is. Now it is. It's fine for the most part, but for me it wasn't. And I think that those things that I liked kind of led me to find comfort away from I wasn't bullied so much. It was more so like, I was an easy target because I was starting to develop like chubby attributes, like um, tits on a boy. It's always one of those things which is always going to be grabbed. It's just something you could get mocked at. And then I became really ashamed of my body, very insecure of my body. So I didn't swim. I haven't really swum still really, but swimming I stopped probably about 15 and 16. I used to love swimming, love it so much. But I became so insecure of my body that I would hide it at all means. As you're talking about it now, I've never really dwelled on it. It's only in like the last sort of year as well that I've started to feel much more comfortable with like showing off my body. Like that's one thing, to show my body off like that. But to like, I go into the sauna now at JD gyms. I would never dare do that even like a year and a half ago.
Really?
No, I just wouldn't even dare do it.
Is that just because of the
Dysmorphia.
yeah,
Yeah.
and the kind of like the deep-rooted fear?
Yeah, of being mocked. I think it's one of
Yeah.
those things which is still a lot of the stuff like to get like that is trauma, childhood trauma. Like that's where I think a lot of people end up like that. And that can come from like parents and the way you're raised, and also it can come through other aspects like other social aspects of like your childhood peers and how they treat you, and just how I really interacted with people. Like I said, I was quite introverted, so I had a very small group of friends, and I seemed to even then like rub people up the wrong way for whatever reason. And I would seek solace in food. That's where I would seek comfort. And like my mindset with food was like almost like food's friend. That's kind of where that led to when I was
Yeah,
younger.
there's definite meaning to the term comfort eating,
Yeah.
isn't there? Because
Yeah.
that's what you're sort of saying, right? You're
It
just
was
like,
comforting. It was like a friend, like I said. Almost, it was really sad to say it like that, but it was just like food can't hurt me. Like it's not going to mock me. It's there to do that I can indulge. And like, I mean, I tried to lose weight. I used to play basketball, and I think like a lot of people, which a lot of people can recognize this, when you leave school, that's when you start to really gain weight. I was quite chubby. I was like 16, 17 stone probably when I left school. And then you stop moving about so
Yeah.
much. Then you start to sit down more. And then that's when weight really, you'll gain it very quickly. I think a lot of people can fall into that trap. Certainly when they start work, like when you start like your 9 till 5 work, or if you're sat at a desk all day, it's very easy to gain weight if you're eating more than you should.
talk me through like a standard day of food. Of what,
Then?
yeah,
Oh
of
God.
what you'd kind of get through.
I'd eat like close to 10,000 calories a day, easily. I've said this before, like, so I'd probably starve myself. I say starve myself, I wouldn't start properly eating until around midday, 1 or 2.
Right.
And then I could eat a couple of pies, 6 to 10 packets of crisps, 4 Kit Kat Junkies or something like that, Jaffa Cakes, a whole box of Jaffa Cakes. And that's kind of just like part 1. And then I'd be drinking regular Coke or Dr. Pepper, whatever was on offer. I used to target the offers, and I think that's still the case for a lot of people, that they go for those offers. And back then, it was like £1. Everything was £1. Pringles were £1. Pies were £1. Dr. Pepper was £1. A row of penguins were £1. So that's 4. I could have £4 of something sweet, savoury drink, and then I would eat all of it as like lunch. That's like part 1 of the day. And then I'd have like a dinner, and I'd usually be, if I'm still hungry, I'd still be eating throughout the day, like snacking on chocolate and crisps, and drinking so much regular Coke. So I'd drink about 2 to 4 litres a day.
Jesus.
Yeah.
That's mental.
Yeah, it was. And that's just nothing calories, which is why I can do the maths. Now I understand nutrition like I do. I can see where I was getting the calories from. But then I would usually have a meal as well in the evening, it depends really. So towards the end, I was going up to McDonald's, which at Hedge End, and I would go up about 1 o'clock, and I would get a large quarter pounder meal, a double cheeseburger. I was still using my student card up until I was about 27, 28 to get a free cheeseburger. So I'd have those 3 burgers, 2 apple pies, and either a large Coke or strawberry milkshake, depends on how I felt, and that would be like 1, 2, 3 in the morning.
Jesus.
And that would, yeah. But before that, I probably would have had something else as well. But that was quite normal for me at that point, where I was just regularly going up to eat that type of meal. Like you do the
Shit.
maths on those calories, and just like, yeah, it was, I don't know, 3,000 plus calories, 4,000 calories just then at that point. But yeah, like I said, it was the Coke that was the regular Coke that did it probably the most, where I was just really, really, really gaining weight.
And it also massively messes with your blood sugar levels as well, right? So
Yeah.
you drink the Coke, and then 10 minutes later you're hungry, or you
Yeah.
feel hungry, and then
Yeah.
you know,
and
you
I
kind of on that.
and then I became type 2 diabetic as well, which is like something that my dad used to say to me, like, that's what's going to happen. You're going to end up like me if you're not careful. That's where you're going. That's where you're going. And I used to not want to go. I would avoid going to the doctors, knowing that as soon as I go to the doctors, they're going to tell me I'm a diabetic, and I know they are. So I can tell I was. Like, I just kind of knew, so I avoided it for a couple of years, and that was the big turning point, actually. Yeah, when I got that diagnosis of type 2 diabetes, that's what changed everything.
Really?
Yeah, yeah. That was the trigger. I got that diagnosis, and then I had to go see a nurse. Then the nurse said to me, "Do you like having 2 feet?" I went, "Yeah, I do." She goes, "You're gonna lose a foot. You're gonna lose it. You're too young to be sat in front of me. Go away and do something about it." And her name, well, I can say her name. I think I can say her name. Her name was Julie. And I was a bit taken back. I'd never really had anyone. Loads of people had tried different things to try and get me to lose weight. My mum had promised me the world. My sister would even say stuff like, "Oh, I'll pay for you to go on a holiday or whatever." Like I've been promised everything to lose weight, but some reason this clicked. Something clicked in my mind at this moment. I was like, I'm going to give it a go.
What was your mental state like at that point?
The lowest of low, low, low. If anyone, that was my true rock bottom. I could describe my rock bottom to you. Like I said, I'd lost my job. I was living with my parents. I was sleeping on the floor in filth, effectively. Yeah, my own sort of body substance. Yeah, it was just filth. I was sleeping in filth. I couldn't look after myself. Stunk, and long nails. It's terrible hygiene. I mean, you can see even the way I've sort of groomed, the difference in how I groom and look after myself there, even just in that photo, is all part of the change as well. So I was suicidal. I was depressed. I was on a lot of antidepressants, and I was self-medicating with weed as well for a large part of it, which was a big part of also how I used to eat. I used to fuel my like eating through smoking weed, and that's what would make me almost like it was almost like that was it, self-harm in itself, because then I could eat more. I knew
Yeah.
if I had the weed, then I could eat more
Yeah.
stuff. So it's like that's what I used the weed for. Almost it was a form of self-harm,
Jeez.
because I could eat more.
Yeah. So you'd have an excuse to eat
Yeah,
more, basically.
exactly. Yeah, it would help with like I know this is bad to admit, but I would smoke and then go up to McDonald's at this point, knowing that now I'm ready. Now I'm ready for it. So then I would go up there and get my massive meal. And by the time I get back, it'd be cold. It'd be really bad. It's just it wasn't worth it for that. It was cold, and yeah, I yeah. So that was the big turning point for me. Was that.
So you're feeling like you've just described, you know, a big guy, and then that nurse,
Yeah.
sort of says to you, you could potentially lose a foot or
Yeah.
whatever else. What do you think it was about that made that click? Was it?
Fear.
It was the fear.
Yeah, it
So
still
you-
is.
so
Fear
that-
is still my driver. Yeah.
So it wasn't like, so you got all the people that really, really care about you offering you like great things and,
Yeah.
good things to
Yeah.
change. And that never,
No, take it for granted, as you do, because they're always there. And it was like that kind of thing, which no matter all the bad stuff I did to my family, they always stood by me. This is another reason why I keep doing it as well, for a big part of what. So the fear is not just that, but also not to let them down. Like even now, yeah, like I owe it to them as much as I owe it to myself to maintain this,
Yeah.
because they've really supported me, like all of them. My mum, my sister, my dad's not here anymore; he's passed away. But they really, really supported me when I was there at that point, and they didn't need. And my brother-in-law, they really didn't need to, and they shouldn't have really, but they did.
It's a crazy transformation. We, and I kind of I understand the things that you mentioned about that kind of food cycle. I understand how you get into that kind of, I mean, you know, I've been a lot bigger than I am now. I've also been a lot skinnier than I am now. But, you know, I tend to go through these cycles, whereas it looks like, or feels like, this was your lifestyle. So like when I go through the cycles, I'm like, you know, similar to what you were saying, it's almost like, you know, self-harm. It's almost like you don't give a crap. You're just like, give me the food because it's going to make me feel better. And you're just on that kind of downward cycle. How long were you on that downward kind of spiral for, do you think?
I'd say uni was, so I went to university between like 18, 21, 22. So that was excess to the extreme. That's where I left university about 24 plus stone. And I really went into excess with alcohol, food, drugs, all sorts. Like, it was just excess. And I was hanging with people that, for the first time, I really had like fun people to go out with, friends to go out with, which I hadn't really experienced a lot in my life, to be honest. So it was that's where the excess really got to me. And then that leaving university was when I realized, and the realities of the world really start to set in, because you're so much in a bubble at university. Like, university gives you a false sense of what life is.
Yeah.
And it's quite a shock to people when they leave university, I think. And for me, it was a big shock. It was a real big shock. And that's when I realized that life's quite crap, sad. And it can be, life's awesome as well at the same time. But the realities of working life, when it settles in, when you leave university, it becomes quite a slap in the face.
Yeah.
A lot of people experience it a lot earlier. I didn't experience it until really I left university.
Yeah. I guess, you know, I've been there as well. It kind of almost feels like a lonely world done at a lonely place when you go from
friends and
being in that educational system where you're surrounded by people all the time, and then all of a sudden everyone goes in their own way, and you're like
off different places.
And you're like, shit.
Yeah, and that happens to people in all sorts of different. I mean, mine was university. That can happen when people leave school, college, but for me it was university. And then I lost weight. I've yo-yoed a lot. I've gone from before I went to university, I dropped down to around 18 stone. I was closer to sort of 20, 21 stone. And then I sort of went to university about 17, 10, 18 stone. And then I've tried the different things like Slimming World, Weight Watchers, all those different types of Atkins it was then. I did Adios pills and stuff. I tried all. Oh pills. God, yeah, all the stat. That is bad. That is if anyone's ever done that is quite a experience. It leaves quite an oily mess.
Yeah, I remember. I didn't actually do it myself, but I remember doing some research on it, and that was enough. I was like, I don't fancy that.
It was quite intense.
So walking out of that doctor's surgery, having been told that, what was kind of going through your mind? What was the plan from that point on? What were you thinking?
There was no plan. I mean, I could barely move at this point. Like, I was as close to a wheelchair as you probably could have needed, and it would have had to have been a strong wheelchair. Like, I could barely move at this point. This was my best friend's stag do, actually. And I could barely participate in anything. And actually, his father-in-law, I want to say, stepdad, I've known him all my life. His name's Chris. And he does have quite poor eyesight, but he thought I was the bride's uncle. He hadn't seen me for a number of years. And he said, so who are you? Are you Sarah's uncle? And I went, no, Chris, it's me. It's George. And he went, oh God, man, I'm so sorry. I was in the same kayak as him at one point, and like I was just like, yeah, quite like very very low. They all went to karaoke that day as well in the evening, like to a sushi thing and a karaoke thing I think in the evening, and I was just so embarrassed at this point. I just didn't go, and I used to do that a lot, and I still do that a lot actually. I find myself, I can be an extrovert when I'm paid to be one, like at work, and but for the most part, I'm still an introvert. I much prefer being on my own. I compare myself to like a rescue dog in the sense that that level of damage that I've had done, like self harmed and done to myself. I retreat and I need to be on my own, and I struggle still to be around lots of people. I don't like it. A lot lots of people don't like, going into West Key when it's busy sucks. Like for me, I just don't want to. I don't want to be there. Like
No.
it's not nice. It's not a nice
Yeah.
feeling. And some people thrive in that kind of atmosphere. I thrive when I'm at work in that position, because my work has actually been one of the best things for me. I work in a pharmacy, and I talk to a lot of people, and that has been the best thing that's happened to me, because it's allowed me to interact with all walks of life, all different ages, all people with different problems, help to problem solve these issues, and it's helped with my social skills. Like I must admit, it's one of the best things that I ever decided to move into. Really,
So what were you doing at this point?
nothing.
Oh, you weren't working?
I couldn't work.
No.
I mean, I could have, but so at that point, I was done. So I mean, with rock bottom, as far as rock bottom goes, that was it. I was, like I said, I was sleeping on the floor. I was lucky to still be at my parents. So some people would even say, well, that's not rock bottom because you weren't out on the streets or something like that. Like they should have put me out on the streets, but my dad just couldn't do it. He loved me like so much that that was his way of like he showed love in a weird way. My dad was there's quite a big age gap between my mum and dad, the 21 years there was. So he was born in like 1940.
Right.
So he was brought up with like rationing. He
Yeah,
didn't know
yeah.
this made no sense to him.
Yeah.
It makes no sense to him. He doesn't understand this. He couldn't understand this. He couldn't understand me. And I think that's where, when I look at some of that trauma, that's probably where it was. Like I just couldn't get that love maybe that I needed possibly from him. But he was an extremely good man. Like I did not want to disparage my dad. He was an amazing man. But I tried to understand it. I tried to understand where this comes from, because most people, when you look at us as adults, that the problems that the way we've matured or what we've become is because of how we started
Yeah.
as children.
Yeah.
And the damage that's happened as children is what goes into our adulthood.
Yeah. Yeah. It's fascinating, and it's just mad that it all kind of transpired to that. And I guess lucky for you, I guess you ended up with type 2 diabetes, because maybe if you hadn't have gone into that room that day, then
I reversed it. So it's diet controlled. Technically, it's sort of in remission. So I don't take any of the medication or anything for it.
Right.
I've taken metformin to control it. But I had a lot of other health problems. I had sleep apnea. I had a fatty liver. That was the last thing to reverse. High cholesterol, high blood pressure. I had a lot of problems when I was 27, 28.
So just walking away from that appointment, like, what was the first thing you did? Like, what was the,
I cried. Yeah. Probably got straight into the car and cried. I cried all the time back then, really. I was crying all the time. But I cried. Because it just felt hopeless. And it did feel hopeless.
So where did the kind of motivation come to take the first steps? Because I always feel like that's the hardest.
Yeah, it was.
The hardest thing is to take those first few steps to stop doing that one thing, or to to start doing something.
I started just waiting. I just said to myself, I'm just going to try and eat 3 meals a day. I wasn't going to take too much away, in a sense. I'm just going to stop snacking. That's what I thought. I'll start with this, just 3 meals a day. I'm going to have a breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I'm just going to have those 3 meals. And then I didn't learn anything about calories at this point. That's what I was going to try. And for movement, I could barely move at all. So I just started going out for like 10-minute, 15-minute walks, just sort of up and down the street, sort of like I live in Netley Abbey, so it was just sort of just around the village a bit and back, and that's how I started. But I did that sort of every day and built it up from there. So like that pebble became
So
snowball.
those first, or how quickly did you start to see? Did you start to feel progress? Because again, like the reason I ask that is because it's like, you know, these years and years and years of forming habits that have led you to being
Yeah,
like that, and then all of a sudden you're trying to change them, and they're going to feel really significant to you. Whilst, you know, oh, having 3 meals a day doesn't sound that significant. In fact,
Oh,
I'd
it's a big
imagine
time.
for
Yes.
you were like almost climbing the walls at some point because, you know,
Yeah,
and then there's that, well, it, you know, you're 3, 4, 5 days in and you're like, oh, nothing's changed. I'm no different. Like,
yeah,
do you know what I mean? Did you go through that, or
yeah,
and
yeah.
how
Big
did you
time.
kind of break through that?
You lose a stone at that size, you won't notice it. You lose 2 stone, you're not going to notice it. Not like on you when you look at a picture. It's very hard to notice that difference, but you start to feel it. You start to feel it because it almost becomes like a Facebook, like you get an endorphin release from when you see the scales go down. That's a danger in itself as well. Actually, you get reinforcement from weight loss going down. That gave me another problem actually when I did actually lose the weight, because you're chasing that reinforcement which you get from the scale. So I lost a stone pretty much in week 1. Like
Jesus.
yeah. When you're that big, to be very careful my words. It's easier to lose weight because it is.
Yeah,
Like
I suppose if you're from a percentages perspective,
yeah.
you know, like 1 stone of 32 is a big difference, right?
Plus, most of it was water. I mean, now I know what I know. Like
Yeah.
just because I changed my sodium levels, you know, I wasn't consuming so much salt. My body was able to sort of release a lot of this fluid that I was. I mean, I was like a barrel. I was just retaining water, like, and I still do, like, because I got quite a bit of loose skin. I've had a lot removed, but it's just got there was so many places for water to go. So yeah, that first initial jolt of weight is mostly water. I mean, most people, you know, when you start a diet or make changes and you start cleaning up how you eat, you're going to lose a lot of water weight in the
Yeah.
first week or 2.
So was that what gave you the motivation then to continue? Were you tracking that?
No, there was no way to. I didn't start really educating myself until probably about a year in, and maybe a bit less than a year. And so the first couple of months, I just went for walks, and the reinforcement I got was um, through the scales, like going down. And I got a referral through the doctors to I think it was called Health Watch at the time, or Health something, Health Watch I think, and it sent me to Fleming Park when it was Fleming Park in Eastleigh, and I had to do this sort of I had this PT session, and this PT was awful. He didn't care at all about me. He just looked at me up and down like with disgust, and I remember it really vividly because I could have nearly given up in that moment. I was about 28 stone at this point, and he treated me like I was just like a pariah, like I was just a waste of space pariah, and I shouldn't be here. And he sort of come on and sort of talk to me like I was an idiot. A lot of people do when you're that big as well. People think you're an idiot, and I was treated like that. And I was treated like a pariah. People would avoid me, would cross the road, and they didn't want to be near it. Um, me. They didn't want to be near me. So like yeah, people would go out their way to avoid me. And this guy really treated me poorly. And I was lucky because it was part 1 of the referral scheme. The second part was then to go to my local gym, where a lady, luckily, her name's Deborah, and she's a swimming teacher there, and her son's a PT actually, I believe, yeah, and yeah, he works. Where does he work? Pinnacle in Hamburg, and she was really supportive. She was just really really nice, and I explained to her what happened. She kind of just looked at me. I can't even remember if she held my hat or just touched my hat or something. Something was there, which just this level of support. Um, yeah, it was enough for me to be like, okay, might be okay. I'll give it a go. But that guy could have nearly made me give up. It always made me think about that. If I ever did go down the personal training route, you've got to be so careful how you talk to people.
Yeah.
You really do. You don't know what's going on in here. And a lot of people, if they're asking you questions, especially in your particular in that position of a personal trainer, they want help. they think you're their guru. They just a little bit of common decency towards people. It does make me think like that. I do have to try and remember what it was like. It's hard because I want to forget it, but I can't forget it. I need to remember it because you need to have that level of empathy if you're trying to help people, and certainly in the pharmacy as well. I've got to help people, so you've got to have a level of empathy that it's quite easy to lose sometimes when you forget like actually what it's like to be that low, that depressed, that helpless, that useless, that and I'm talking about myself as useless, but like because I felt useless. I felt like an absolute burden to everyone, and I was like I was a burden. Yeah. But yeah, no, I forgot what was on that subject of
Yeah, talking about like that's that kind of pathway, I guess, into exercise, and obviously, you just mentioned that your first encounter with a PT, which I'm guessing was one of the first encounters in a gym, was like
first ever, yeah. Because I have sort of been in gyms before, but like a lot of people, when you go into a gym, you ain't got a clue. Most people still don't. I think that needs to be looked at. If it ever got properly regulated, it would be great, because I think everyone should have a PT right from the beginning. I think you should be forced to. You shouldn't be able to use this equipment without knowing what to do with it. I think it's really, really important. And it would have been good for me. And this guy just didn't care about teaching me what to do. And I still don't like it still is. I think even for me when I started, it wasn't like I had a lot of help. I had a couple of people that had an interest in me at the Hamble gym, and a guy who used to work there called Joe. He really showed an interest and was very, very supportive. And they just sort of used to notice me. After a while, they just sort of like, oh, he's still coming, he's still coming, he's still coming. And then eventually, they actually started to talk to me, the people at this gym, and then. I started going there. I can't remember the year now, but it would have been like whatever, like 8 years ago. So, but it was March. I remember it was March, and then by sort of 6-7 months in, maybe I think people started to talk to me, as in like they could notice that I was still going. I would do what everyone would do. I would just go on the cross trainer and treadmill. Like for me, like you want to see people that are starting in the gym. You kind of got to look to these bits of equipment because that's the most accessible equipment for most people. It's just I'll just go onto the treadmill. Dare go in the free weight area. Dare go anywhere where you have to know what you're doing, or if you think these people must know what they're doing until you realise that like, a lot of people don't.
No, that's cool. So you're, at this point, then you're you're kind of in the gym. I'm interested to understand though, like, what was it that kept you going back for that 8 months? What was it that kept you going back?
Consistency. I think I remember hearing that term, which everyone, is quite cliche in gym, but consistency is key. And like someone said it to me very, very early on, and I've heard it millions of times now. I mean, millions is exaggeration, but certainly thousands of times I've heard consistency is key. And then you learn it is the actual, the magic bullet, the magic sauce.
So that's what you had, like, almost
keep going.
implanted in the back of your mind.
Keep going, it's working. Keep going, it's working. And then it's sort of, that's what got planted in. Yeah, was that just be consistent, just keep going. And I think that's what still rings true when people say to me and ask me, because I get asked quite a bit for advice when people see it or they hear about it. I still get messages today. I still get people that message saying they saw my newspaper article or they saw my magazine. I still have that. Every now and then I still get someone just drop into my messages and ask me about it and ask me how I did it, or ask me if I can train them, or ask me if I can, like, how can you help me? And I mean, it's nice because I like it. I love talking about it. I love talking about fitness and what to do and how I did it. But then, because we're talking very early on, I had no idea. I educated myself. What was the big change when I started to educate myself on nutrition, on exercise, on lifestyle in general. And it wasn't just like losing the weight. It was grooming. It was all these things like shaving my hair off, like, and just looking after my appearance. All this stuff improved my self-worth. And as soon as I started to do that and I started to care about myself. That person didn't care. That person cares.
Yeah.
That's the difference.
I think this is the thing though. This is like, I guess, where I'm, trying to what I'm trying to establish, I suppose, is like the majority of your transformation, whilst it's the diet and the gym work that gets the credit,
Yeah.
it's actually your mental.
Oh, big time.
Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
you wouldn't be able to sustain what you've done without the mental strength to get
Yeah.
through the really shit, tough times, the times where you must have thought, what's the point in all this?
Yeah, I did. I mean, I thought I was weak, but I'm not. I'm mentally incredibly strong. I might not be physically strong. Like, there's a lot of people much stronger than me, and there's probably people mentally stronger than me, of course. But like, I proved to myself that I am incredibly mentally strong.
Yeah, you
like
have to be.
the discipline I have is quite specific to fitness, because it hasn't necessarily transitioned to other parts of my life so much. It has in some respects, but I think getting that younger will give people kids very good discipline. Because when you start to learn about your fitness and your exercise and sleep, and I mean, I take a bunch of vitamins as well, all this stuff I had to educate myself on. And there's a lack of education in regards to all those subjects, fitness, nutrition, at the very bottom level of kids. Like, they need to learn about it. Really important.
But I think the worst thing for me is like the confusion, the social media, the guy telling you, oh, I saw it the other day, having a go at Joe Wicks, because Joe Wicks is promoting this like single ingredient, he's sort of warning people against UPFs, which personally I sort of think, well, fair play, because there's a lot of people out there that don't really understand the damage that certain ultra processed foods can do, and they're unfortunately, packaging allows the brand to tell people that it's healthy, when actually, when you look at it, it's not. It can't be that healthy. And there's this guy was basically like ranting on social media, and he said something along the lines of, Joe Wicks just needs to eat a box of Jaffa cakes and chill out, and you sort of think, how confusing is that? If nothing else, personally, I think, mate, he's full of shit, but how confusing is that to somebody that's watched Joe Wicks and gone, okay, I get it, and then have this guy going, oh, mate, he's shit telling. Do you know what I mean? It's like there's so much conflicted information out there.
I think that's got worse as well. So when I started, it wasn't as bad. I mean, I'll go with Jamie Oliver. Jamie Oliver, when he tried to change school dinners, this is a good while ago now. But there's always a Jamie Oliver, there's always a Joe Wicks. There's always going to be someone that will try, and then they get battered down. And who's doing that? So you got to think, well, where's the money? Where do
you know my theory? I'm going to tell you my theory. I think it all revolves around money.
Yeah, it is. It's exactly.
And I think you've got the food companies that are just producing this food, and they've got to sell it. And I've had this conversation with my wife and kids. If I created a food brand that was full of shit and I could get away with saying it was healthy so that people bought it, I would. And that's not because I want to harm people. It's because I want my product to do really well.
It's business.
Yeah. And people don't get it.
Yeah.
So there's that, but then also you get these nutritionists, right? For me, nutrition's so flipping simple.
It really is.
It's so simple.
It's really easy.
So what if everybody understood that, then nobody would need a nutritionist, right?
Yeah.
So the nutritionists have to complicate. They have to add a level of complexity to it, so that they keep people going to them and asking questions. Should I eat this? Should I eat that? It's like the nutrition is, the most simple form of, anything that's out there, really. Like, everybody should know what they can eat, what they shouldn't eat, what they should avoid.
Yeah.
Influencer going, I eat Rice Krispie cakes every day.
No.
And it's like, shut up. Like, honestly, mate, what are you...
That was the thing.
And then they blame people like Joe Wicks, saying, you're demonising food. Yeah, but you're promoting shit.
Yeah.
Like, you're telling people that have got a problem that it's okay to eat that. And take it from me, like, I would convince myself that a Rice Krispie cake is healthy, and now this guy's telling me that as well. Like, that's it, I'm convinced.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's like, I find it really damaging.
I think that it's really simple. It's calories in versus calories out. That's it. Like, and when you learn that, but everyone's bodies are different. everyone's lifestyles are different. So if you're working in, I don't know, in labouring, then maybe you're going to be burning a lot of calories. So you're going to be burning more maybe as someone that works in an office. Everyone's bodies is their own individual science project. That's how I think of the human, like everyone's body. So your body, my body. So you might be able to have this much and a liquid, and then maybe I can have a bit more, and you tinker with it, take away this, take away that, and you kind of treat your body, which is like food and exercise, as a science project. You can add a little, take a little away, and see what works. And like and for me, that's what I eat the same food pretty much every day. Like I'm very consistent with what I eat. That's okay. It works for me. It doesn't necessarily work for everyone else, but it has worked for me. Like as I sit here now, I'm healthy. I've got good blood markers. I've got good blood pressure. I looked after myself, and to get to this point is like it's taken time, like I said, to work out my science project. And everyone's science project is individual to them.
Yeah. I think the other thing that needs to be exposed as well is that there's a huge difference between weight loss and health.
Yeah.
Because not all weight loss is healthy, right?
No, I've been there. Yeah. I went too extreme.
You know, and I've seen people go on this go on the calorie in, calorie out thing, and try and tell me that it's okay for them to eat Domino's pizza every day because it's within their calories.
Yeah.
And a half a Domino's pizza is, 1,900 calories, and my calorie thing is 2,300. So and it's like, again, like, do you know what I mean? Like, it's not that simple. It's not as simple as like, there's your numbers, and do you know what I mean? And it's like they're the two things that I think need to be understood better. It's like weight loss. Yeah, you can eat pizza and you're going to basically whatever you want, and you can lose weight. Like that is scientifically, that is 100% the case. But from a health perspective, you probably want to include a few vegetables and some like.
I completely agree. Otherwise, you look like a bag of milk as well. So if you eat crap, you look like crap. Like that's effective. That's still that's the staple of what I believe as well. Simplistic terms: calories in versus calories out. But how you make up your body is still defined on what you eat. Yeah. So if you eat well, your body's gonna be well.
That's it. Yeah.
If
100%.
you eat crap, then you're gonna look like crap.
Yeah. And I think I think that they're the two. They're the two things that that cause a little bit of confusion, but again, like it really isn't like rocket science. People.
No, it's not. It's not.
The health element is don't eat so much of the pizza and the ultra processed stuff.
You know what's bad.
Yeah,
but you know what's
exactly
bad.
What's bad.
You know what's bad.
Try and make up as many of your calories as you can with this, single ingredient veg and meats and whatever else it is that you want to include in your diet.
There's two aisles you should eat from mostly in supermarkets, and it's usually right at the front. They're at the front. There's the greens and the meat, and that's it. And that these sort of, if you look at it as almost like an L shape, everything else is probably going to be tinned and processed. Yeah. So the majority of the food that you should eat is right near the front of most of the supermarkets, and everything else on the end aisles is always going to be like the offers and the things that grab your eye. Yeah, and that's what I used to get me a lot when I was at my worst. I would just go for those and gravitate towards those because it was the easier, accessible, highly palatable food.
You can literally take it off the shelf and
go
ram it down your throat. Yeah,
anything that takes effort to prepare. Yeah, I learned to cook as well. So that was all the sort of parts of like looking after myself, not just grooming, but also learning how to cook, learning about nutrition, learning about exercise, and all these things. I'm still like a pupil of the gym. Like I'm still always learning. I want to learn all the time, and I like to teach, but more importantly, I want to learn. I want to get better, and I'm always keeping this open. Not so open that my brains fall out, but open enough that I'm willing to take advice from anyone, older, younger. I will take advice. Like I think that's a big problem in the gym as well. I think that people just there's too much ego in the gym. Even though you hear that right at the beginning, it's leave the ego at the door. People say it, but they don't follow it. No, and it's one of those things you really when you learn. Actually, it's very important to really drop the ego in the gym.
And I think you
and
know,
exercise in general.
yeah. And I think something I've done over the years is listen to everybody
Yeah.
and then, you know, research and understand, you know, what it is they're trying to tell you, and understand whether there's any substance to it. Like you say, you really need to do that if you've got an open mind and you want to, you know, you want to learn from people. You know, as an example, I had a lot of people telling me that it was really healthy to be vegetarian, which I totally understand people's motives for being vegetarian. Like,
Not
you
for
know,
me,
the
it
whole,
wasn't.
the whole animal cruelty thing and all that kind of
Yeah.
stuff, and I get it. So I tried it. You know, I was like,
Yeah, I
I'm
tried
a
it.
big meat fan. Like,
Yeah.
I'm a, you know, but I thought, no, you know, I need to give it a go, and it wasn't for me.
No,
Like,
I
just
felt
didn't-
like death.
yeah, I felt awful, and
Yeah.
you know, all right, you know, there was this kind of righteous element of being able to say, well, but you know, that was just an example of how, you know, how I've kind of discovered and learned and done things is like I've actually gone out and kind of done it or researched it at the very least to understand. Yeah, like, you know, so now if I get somebody coming up to me telling me that veganism's like the healthiest thing on the planet, I know just to be really polite, understand why they might want to do
I'm
it,
the same.
but
Yeah.
that's not for me, I'm afraid.
It becomes cult-like with veganism and
Yeah.
vegetarianism, and I think with a lot of things in the gym, I think a lot of it can become almost like school. Like you're almost in a clique. Like
Yeah.
you're a goth or you're a geek or you're whatever. You kind of fall into these like categories within the gym, or not just the gym, but in fitness in general. So it's sort of like it's very easy to. But once you educate yourself, and I've dabbled, I've tried as well. I thought I'd give it a go. I'd give vegetarianism a go or veganism a go. It was vegetarianism I gave a go. I still had eggs, but I felt weak. I just felt weak. It just wasn't for my body. Again, that's your body being its own science project.
Yeah.
And like, it doesn't suit me, but it might suit
somebody else.
Yeah.
And again, it's like, you know, they feel good because they feel like they're doing something for the environment and whatever else. And actually, no, somebody that just doesn't like meat. So they're like, I don't eat meat. Yeah, because just don't like it. And you're like, yeah, fair enough. And now we've got, if all of that stuff wasn't bad enough, now we've got the fat jab in the mix.
I know.
You know.
I know.
And and
that's rampant.
It's crazy
in the gym as well. I think it's more rampant than steroids. I think it's that more widely used between men and women. It's rampant. 100%. And there's so much fakeness in the gym. I go back to the gym because that's where I train. That's my passion. That's my love. But if it's not fake, fake muscles, it's fake weight loss. It's fake lashes, nails, tits. Everything's fake in the gym. It's very hard to find a reality in the gym. So that's what I think the reality sometimes is on the treadmills and the cross trainer. These are like that's real people really, really trying to like lose weight or trying to better themselves. Not that anyone else isn't, but that's when I think of reality.
Yeah, and I feel like you're right. It's like the fat jab for me is, I mean, look, there's going to be good use cases for it, right? There's going to be people. I mean, that guy could probably have done with a fat jab.
That could have taken it in a heartbeat.
But it would have probably done him the world of good if that's better than the other alternative.
But right? I wouldn't have been able to achieve that.
No,
on that jab.
No,
no chance. This needed to change.
That's why I went.
This is the strength.
Why I wouldn't do it. That's why I won't go anywhere near it, because I struggle with my weight. I always have. I kind of yo-yo a little bit, and if I did take the fat jab, then I probably would lose the weight that I want to lose, but it would kill me mentally. And there's a lot of research now to say that once you stop taking it, it all goes straight back on. So
and it messes your bone density, metabolism. It's not great in my experience. From what I've researched, this is a lot of it's anecdotal from what I've experienced or researched, and we're still learning. We're still learning of what the true realities of that. We're still learning about Diet Coke and how that impacts on people. This is like from the 70s. I don't know what's going to happen with this jab. So
I'm not convinced on. I was definitely in the trap of, oh no, it's 0 calorie, it's zero sugar. It's like drinking water. But
Yeah.
definitely not, man. That stuff.
There's some stuff in it which is, see, this is a tough one for me because I changed my perspective on it because I detox myself completely from those drinks, Diet Cokes
Yeah.
and things like that. I drink them quite considerably now, but that has still been achieved by drinking those drinks. That is worse than that.
Yeah.
That is going to have worse health impacts than any Diet Coke. That's a fact. No one
Yeah.
can deny that. Me that big, I
No,
had
no.
really poor
I
health.
think what you're saying is that Diet Coke is a million times better for you than for the full
Oh,
fat
100%.
stuff,
Because that's
which-
what led to that.
yeah,
the
which I
regular
t-
Coke,
which I-
the bigger
yeah,
version of me. Yeah,
definitely,
That
totally.
was probably the big.
I think we've hyped up Diet Coke like it's like some sort of flavored
Yeah,
water.
yeah,
and it's like
It's not.
definitely
Water's water. Water's still king. Like
Yeah.
I drink a considerable amount of water at the same time. I just drink a lot.
Mm.
I just this engine takes a lot of fuel, whether it's from food and water. It takes a lot to run me. I'm 6'3" and I'm big. I'm 17 and a half stone. So I'm a big guy. Usually not that long ago, a month plus ago, I was 18 and a half stone. So I've lost a stone in the last sort of 4 or 5 weeks. Life gets like that sometimes.
Yeah.
I find myself like winter makes me quite. I'm fluffy in winter. I tend to be just fluffier. But as we start to get to spring and summer, my body just auto regulates.
Yeah.
I think most people's do, but
I think
because
they
most
do.
people's bodies are broken because of the way we live now, it can't auto regulate like it probably should. We
Yeah.
should be a bit more fluffier in the winter and when it's colder because it's almost like a bear. Like that's how we should be. We should
Yeah,
have a
that
bit more
layer of-
insulation. Cats
yeah.
do it. Animals do it. We're animals, so we should have that level of insulation when it's colder. But as you start to get towards those more, it's been lovely the last 2 days, and you start to feel it. You just feel better. You
Yeah.
feel better when you
Start
go outside.
eating less, you start
eating
drinking
less.
more.
You're doing more. You're moving
Yeah.
more. So it has those impacts. So your body starts to auto-regulate like that. Mine certainly does. But yeah, I was going to say one thing on the jab is that a few people have come up to me who are taking the jab and have apologized, like, oh, I haven't done it like you. And I like, I know it's the easy way out and stuff like that. And I get it. I completely get why someone would take it because it's
Totally.
the magic bullet. It's the monkey.
Totally.
But it's a monkey's paw.
Yeah.
Like you're going to get what you wish for, but then you're going to get a load of rubbish with it.
Yeah, there's a good chance that will happen. I mean, I've got really, really, really close mates that do it, and I don't think any less of anybody.
No,
that
nor do I.
actor that
Fair
actually
play to
does
them.
it. It's not for me, and that's that. But
Yeah.
it is. I mean, for me, it's just a bit of a money maker.
It is purely a money maker.
Yeah.
It's get you on it and keep you on it.
Yeah, I just hope there's not any super detrimental long-term effects.
We'll find out.
Yeah,
We'll soon know within a few years because there's with any of these types of medication, particularly so for this one in particular, like I said, it's a monkey's paw. You're gonna get what you wish for, but you're gonna get some load of crap with it as well.
Yeah.
I know it's your bone density, muscle mass. I mean, there's so many. Just your initial liver, the kidneys. There's so much problems that they're establishing with the jab. Again, this is anecdotal and read what I've researched. So it's sort of like we'll see what happens with it. But I totally get it. I totally get why someone would take it. Anything like that, anything that's easy is always going to be, like I said, it's either comparing it to the supermarket. It's just the easy choice.
Yeah.
It's always going to be that was hard.
Easy, convenient.
That's 10 years.
Yeah.
That's 10 years of hard work. And and I'm nearly at 10 years. So from that picture there, that was 9.5 years ago. This year in August will be 10 years from that picture.
Jesus.
So this is a 10-year. That's last year. So late last year, I took that photo. This is 10-year
10-year journey.
transformation journey.
Yeah, I mean, it is incredible, and I think you're an inspiration, and I think that the more people that can listen to you and listen to your journey, the better, really, because looking at that, it inspires me because I think Jesus Christ, if the guy on the right can do that and end up like the guy on the left, then flipping out, surely anyone can.
I forget.
Nobody's got an excuse.
I do forget, and it's like I said, I've still got to remember that happened because there's things I stopped doing. Like I would walk sideways through doors for a long time. After sort of 3-4 years in, I was still kind of walk sideways through doors. I'd always try to find car parking spots which had spots on both sides because that was just easier to get out. I'd dread to get trapped. There was just like weird little quirks that I would still do when I was after like 3 or 4 years, and now they've kind of become like a distant memory.
Yeah, man, it is incredible, and I think that, like I said, hopefully lots of people will get to hear this and understand.
Yeah,
and,
hopefully.
and
Yeah.
and get and be inspired by it, because that's I guess what it is you're trying to do. I've got a few quick fire questions for you.
Yeah, cool.
If you could change anything about your entire journey, so before the transformation included, would you?
No, I couldn't, because that's what's led to this. Like, there's no changing it. I'm that kind of like time traveler. Like, if you go back and do anything, then you're gonna have that. Like, it just wouldn't happen. Like, I have to go. I've had to go through everything to make me the man I am.
Yeah,
that's like
so true. And like that, those years of struggle.
Yeah, it was worth it.
That led to that meeting with the nurse.
Yeah,
that was what triggered your mind to be like, shit, I need to do something about it.
Yeah.
Had you have sort of fluctuated a little bit more at that point, then you may never have had that meeting, and you may still be, bouncing between 25 and 30 stone.
I saw her twice, actually. So I saw her 9 months later, and I went, Julie, I've reversed it. I was so excited. I couldn't wait to go and see her. I thought she was going to be so happy. She goes, it will come back. She was brutal. She was brutal, but you need that. Sometimes it works. Very rarely, but now sometimes you just need that real. You can have empathy, but sometimes you've got to be honest.
Yeah,
and it's hard to be emphatic when you're honest.
Well, it's like the point you raised about your upbringing and how your parents loved you so much they just wanted to give you everything.
Yeah,
like,
my mum did.
Tough.
Yeah, my mum did. Yeah,
and
totally.
like, I get it, because I'm the same with my kids. I'm like, oh, she's upset. A bag of sweets would make her really happy.
Yeah, that's what happened.
And it's like,
me,
I think it was Jimmy Carr that said it. Was like, you've got to be a bit honest and a bit like strict and a bit like be kind to their future was the term that he used.
He's brilliant, Jimmy. He's so good. He comes up with some great stuff.
Yeah,
like I love
really
listening
does.
to Jimmy. Yeah.
If you could put down your transformation down to one character trait of yours, what would that character trait be?
My mind. Yeah, I've got an incredibly strong mind, and I'm resilient. It's like proverbial bounce back, but like I've got that bounce back ability, like because I always like Def's gonna have to work really hard to take me, because I've worked too hard. I've worked too hard to save my life. He's going to have to work really hard to take me away, because I'm a fighter. So again, my mind, I'm a fighter. I'm a real fighter. And this is my fight. And I'm very precious of this. This is the thing I'm most precious about. My success is my health and my fitness and my life and saving my life. Because that felt like no hope. And this is hope.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I love that. That's incredible, and I totally agree. Just having chatted with you for the last hour or so, like, you can definitely tell that there's some serious mental strength up there. I mean, I struggle with getting the motivation to get up and go to the gym and getting up and and I just don't know how that guy got it.
I don't know. Sometimes I don't know, because there's other parts of my life where I don't have that strength, and like I can be quite weak. I can be too nice, because I still like that feeling of trying to get people to like me and wanting to like me, and that's a weakness that I have. A weakness and a positive. There's a good part to it where I'd rather be a nice guy than a bad guy. Like people chase the bad man or the bad guy.
You're right.
I don't want to be that.
I think it might have been Joe Rogan or somebody along those lines that said something like, you're either a good guy or a nice guy.
Yeah.
You can't be both.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah,
And
I think
it's
he was
like,
Joe.
fuck,
Yeah.
That is so true.
Yeah.
All right, last question from me.
Yep.
If you could give everybody that listens to this podcast one thing to take away, what would that one piece of advice be?
Doing something is always better than doing nothing. That is Doing nothing, you're not going to achieve anything. But doing something, you've got more chance of getting something out of it. So it's always to do something. Do something is better than nothing.
Love that. What a great way to end the conversation, mate. It's been so good talking to you.
Yeah,
And
it's
I
been
really
really good
appreciate
talking
you
to you.
coming along. And I really genuinely think that people are going to be inspired by this conversation. So I hope as many people as possible listen to it and, you know, take inspiration from it. And how can people get hold of you if they want to kind of learn more about you?
My Instagram, people usually talk to me through Instagram. That's probably the thing I'm most active on is Instagram. I'm trying to think what my handle is. George Middleton 1986, I think.
Yeah.
And I always I always probably put it up on the screen.
Yeah.
But yeah, like my Instagram is usually where people can find me if they ever want to ask questions. Because there's so much. I mean, there's so much I could go into with it, and everyone's journey is going to be individual to them.
Yeah.
So what worked for me won't work for you
No.
or for them. It's just it worked for me.
Mm-hmm.
My path is my path, and
Yeah.
your path is yours.
Yeah, 100%. George, thanks so much, mate. Really appreciate it.
Thanks, mate.
Awesome.
Thank you very much.